The following is an exclusive presentation of the Carolina Panthers and the National Football League. On this episode of the Panthers Huddle, with the NFC South on the line, Coach Canales joins us to talk about the role fans will play in this crucial two-game homestand. Plus, step inside TD's film room, where the Panthers legend breaks down Baker and the Bucs. Welcome inside the Panthers Huddle.
Hey everyone, we appreciate you joining us inside the Panthers Huddle alongside Panthers legend Thomas Davis. I am Kristen Balboni. We are getting you ready for this huge Bucs game. But before we do, TD, there is no way around it. A disappointing loss last Sunday against the Saints.
Definitely disappointing. You know, this was a game that we played well enough to win for most of the game. And then when you go into a game and you play well enough to win, you can also play well enough to lose. And we kept the door open for that Saints team. When they were playing at home, they got some momentum, and they were able to come up with just enough plays to steal that win away from us. Definitely a tough loss for this team, but we're down, KB, but we're not out.
And you are the perfect person to talk about that. So say you're in that locker room. It is time to shift the focus. They're about to take the field against the Bucs. What are you telling the guys?
You know, we got to make the Bucs come in and match our energy. We can't sit back and listen to Todd Bowles talk because you know this team is going to be fired up. No team is going to hear their head coach go out and speak that way and not respond.
He certainly let everybody know what he was thinking.
No team that loves to compete is going to do that. But coming into our house, we got to make sure that we make this team match our energy because the division is on the line. We're going to find out a lot about this football team and what these guys really are made of because at the end of the day, you played the way that they played all season. Not a lot of expectations on the outside coming in, but from this fan base, from this organization, the expectations was at least to make the playoffs, first and foremost. And this is their opportunity. They're still in it. They still control their own destiny, but it really starts this weekend, KB.
How important is the home fan base when it comes to matching energy?
Extremely, extremely important because that's one of the things I felt like helped that Saints team last week. That fan base got behind those guys. So our fan base, we know that they're going to be excited. They're going to come into the stadium. It's the holiday season. They're going to bring the energy. The players are going to feed off it. The Bucs are in for a rude awakening coming in this weekend.
All right.
It's what I anticipate happening.
We certainly hope so. Let's talk about Baker Mayfield, former Panther, has had a great tenure there with the Bucs. As a defender, you're getting ready to play him for the first time this season. What are you keying in on?
Baker Mayfield is a guy that if you allowed him to be comfortable, he can wreck your game plan. But if you give him different looks, we have seen him throw the ball to the other team. He has been under duress a lot this season. So we got to do a great job of making sure that Baker Mayfield can't line up and really dissect exactly what we're going to be in as a defense. If we can disguise it good enough, the D-line can get after him and make him uncomfortable, he will throw us some footballs. And we just got to catch the ones that he's thrown to us. As you see, Alontae Taylor coming away with a pick right there. He's definitely a timing quarterback, so he's going to throw the ball. And if the receiver is not there, if he slips down, that's a huge chance for us to take away that football. So we got to make sure, like I said, that we catch the ones that are thrown to us.
The Panthers, 11th in the league in takeaways. So we know, fans certainly know that they are capable of getting some of those balls off of Baker Mayfield.
Absolutely. And you got to do whatever it takes to get into that top 10. Once you're in that top 10, you're in a whole different ball game.
All right, here is what the team had to say about facing Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. Take a listen.
I have a ton of respect for him. You know, every time I've been around him, he's been really cool. I actually talked to him multiple occasions, but I talked to him when Coach first got hired, just because, you know, he was with the coach before that. So just wanted to pick his brain on things like that. So talked to him in a lot of different lights, and I have a ton of respect for him. You know, obviously I get to, in division, so I get to watch him every, we all play the same people. So for 3 years now, been able to watch him play and have a ton of respect for his game, how he carries himself, how he leads. So, yeah, a ton of respect for him.
All you want to be is in control in this league. At any point in the season, as long as you control your destiny and Yeah, that's the only position you can ask for, just being in control. So we're not looking at anybody but ourselves. And if we have success, we'll be in a good position and go into the playoffs. And if we don't, we can just look at ourselves and we'll have a bunch of things that we'll know we'll have to do better.
That's why you play sports. That's why you compete. That's why you play board games. That's why you do everything. Is you're in control. You get the outcome in everything you work for. And it's obviously just on a grander scale here. And we're working since January of putting everything into it and coming down just day by day. I mean, you know, that's what the league likes. That's what they want. That's why they're scheduling all these division games at the end. That's what they want. And I mean, it's awesome, especially to go do it in the bank and the excitement of what this city is and how this year's been to build up and get 2 more home games. Just excited for that.
Coming up, Coach Dave Canales joins Kristen Balboni in the studio to talk about a familiar foe on the Panthers Huddle. This exclusive presentation of the Carolina Panthers Television Network is brought to you in part by Bank of America, the official bank of the Carolina Panthers.
Welcome back now to the Huddle, joined always by head coach Dave Canales. Coach, thank you for joining us. Going back to that Saints game, what was the biggest takeaway after you guys watched the film on Monday?
Yeah, the basics, fundamentals, execution, group communication, and on top of all that, just when I look at it and I see the penalties and the yards that were given, and offense had a few, made it really difficult to some drives. Defense had a bunch. There were 6 first downs by penalties in the game, something we really got to clean up and make sure we do that. We had 3 penalties on special teams as well, which has not been a part of our game. So we have to clean up those things because we made enough plays, we made enough stops in this game to put ourselves in a position to win it. We made it really hard on ourselves. And I got to give credit to the Saints. They executed a great game plan. Tyler Shuck had an excellent day throwing the ball, extended some really long drives, and their defense settled in the second half and really, besides the first drive where we got a touchdown, really slowed us down for the rest of it.
I'm always so curious about penalties because the Panthers are one of the least penalized teams in the NFL, and you go through a game where you had 11, by far the most of the season. When you say clean it up, what does that look like? Is it running things in practice? Is it just knowing that you've got to execute better on Sunday?
It really starts with technique. And when you have great technique and fundamentals, you put yourself in a really safe position to avoid those calls. The minute we get out of position, that's when an arm extends. And even on a holding call that we had, when you're not running your feet and you get extended out here, those calls are going to be made. And there's different situations that way. And then, of course, just, when the quarterback's running the ball and he slides, those are really challenging situations to put yourself in as a defender. We've seen where quarterbacks extend drives off of those types of situations. You have to be ready to tackle, and then you have to be ready to kind of avoid the guy at the last second, and Tyler had a couple of really aggressive slides, and we hit him in the upper area. They were the right calls looking at it live. They're really challenging situations for the officials and also for the defender trying to make the play.
Yeah, absolutely. You've talked before at length about the leadership in this locker room. What have the leaders and the veterans been saying to the guys as you get ready for the Bucs?
Yeah, there's urgency to move on for the Bucs, and that happened in the locker room, where we were all upset, and there a large group, there was some disappointment, and you can feel that. And but Derek, the guys, immediately were like, guys, we don't have time to lick our wounds over this thing. We got to go, and we're going to look at this film. We're going to grow from it, and we got to move forward. And that's the attitude that you have to have. How quickly can you get up and get back to work?
What is it about this team? Because the one thing about this team is that whenever they have adversity, they respond in a huge way. They play hard, they fight, usually have a great game after a loss. So what is it about this team's DNA that allows you all to do that?
Connection, pride, the hard work that goes into it, understanding that we owe it to ourselves to be right and to make sure that the execution shows up on game day because we work so hard. And but this is a high character group, and whether it's responding from a loss or whether it's responding to adversity in a game, finding a way to fight ourselves back into the fourth quarter or finishing games on our terms, this is a very resilient group that I'm really proud to be coaching.
High character, resilient, not many better adjectives to describe a team than that. Let's talk about the Bucs. Baker Mayfield. Yeah. He's got a lot of weapons back. So what kind of problems does he present to your defense?
Yeah, they got a good balance of young speed, and then they got the KG vets out there, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, both guys who they have back, and and a group that they envision themselves playing with from the beginning of the season. Then you throw Rashad White and Bucky Irving in the mix, and this is a really good group, with Baker at the helm, making great decisions, getting them to the right stuff at the right time, orchestrating it, and the passion that he plays with. Our defense understands that, and we have to be able to evaluate where they're trying to put these guys, how they're trying to get them the ball to mitigate those things. And our rush group's got to be aware. Our rush group did a fantastic job last week with 5 sacks, and they got to be aware of where Baker's at all times and make sure that we make him operate from the pocket.
I know you get asked this a lot, but I can't help but ask you this. You, of course, have familiarity with the Bucs from your time as the play caller and offensive coordinator in Tampa. Does that help you when you game plan?
I have familiarity with Todd Bowles, really being able to face him every day in practice, but I also understand what a challenge that is too, because he's an aggressive play caller and he's got variety. He's creative in the way that he tries to attack, and so it tries to keep you off balance that way, and we have to be aware of those things, but he makes you work. He makes you go do your homework and see the different looks and know the different types of things that he might throw, and then without fail, there'll be something that you haven't seen. And so we got to be prepared for that part. But for the Bucs defense, it all starts by their run-stopping front, and they're ginormous up front. We have to do a great job in our combos to make sure we get the line of scrimmage moving so that we can make those yards.
And Coach, finally, getting to be on the sidelines for these games at Bank of America Stadium, this home crowd has been fantastic in my estimation. How important is that fan presence on Sunday?
It's exciting. It's amazing to feel the momentum that's happening and to feel what we're growing as a team, to feel our fan base, Panthers fans, Bank of America Stadium was certainly felt in the Rams game. I noticed it. It was a noticeable advantage for the Panthers on that day. On third down, when it was time to go, we had a sack fumble at the end. We got a nice jump on the inside on our stunt, on our pass rush, because it was loud down there in the red zone in that area. It's huge. And just celebrating together, celebrating the successes, also just like, the outburst that happened on a questionable call, like all those things matter. That's pressure, it's a good feeling, and our players certainly feed off of that.
Okay, Coach, we are really, really looking forward to Sunday. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Kristen.
Up next, step inside TD's film room as Thomas Davis analyzes the Buccaneers on the Panthers Huddle.
Welcome back, TD. Before the break, we talked to Dave Canales. He gave us that scouting report on the Bucs. You are going to break it down even further inside TD's film room, and I know that you are going to start with a guy that Panthers fans know very, very well, Mike Evans.
Whenever you talk about Tampa Bay, you have to start with Mike Evans, and especially when he's back healthy. He just got back on the field for them. Baker Mayfield, KB, wasted no time getting the ball to Mike Evans. Time and time again, when you watch this game, you see him trying to identify what Mike is, trying to identify the matchup, and he found a matchup, Mike Evans versus Kobe Bryant, that he absolutely loved, and he went at it again and again. Mike Evans is a guy that does a great job of high-pointing the football down the field, and as you see right here, he does it against Kobe Bryant effortless. If you leave him one-on-one with anybody, Baker Mayfield doesn't feel like that's a 50-50 ball. He feels like that's more of an 80-20 ball when Mike Evans is out there. So hopefully J.C. Horn is going to be over there with him, and he's going to come away with some of these passes instead of allowing Mike Evans to do that, because he's one of those guys, though, KB, if you get physical with him at the line of scrimmage, he doesn't like that very much. He doesn't like guys getting into his grill and making sure that he can't get off the ball. So that's one of the things that our DBs have to do a great job of.
Well, we know that J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson can do a little bit of
that.
Yes, they can. All right, another guy that is healthy for the Bucs, Bucky Irving, of course. As you say, you got to know where he is at all times.
Listen, Bucky Irving is a difference maker. He's one of those guys, and we always find players, and you try to compare him to Kristen McCaffrey. He's one of those guys, a lot like C-Mac, when you can get the ball to him, hand it to him out of the backfield, or you can throw it to him out of the backfield, and he does a great job either way. But right here, the play that we've pulled up right now is Bucky Irving out of the backfield, and I'm going to wait to the next angle right here so you can really get a true understanding of his vision and his awareness in the run game. As you watch him right now, this play is getting ready. It's designed to go there. As you look at this play, it seems like the Atlanta Falcons have this play bottled up. But one of the things that I just told you, he has great vision. And on this play, you're going to see him find this hole. There's no way from looking at this play right now, KB, that you would think that this running back would be able to find this.
No.
But he has great vision, so he finds daylight on this particular play. And that's one of the things that we have to understand defensively. He's not one of those guys that's just going to stay bottled up. If the play breaks down, if it's not there, he's going to try to run the daylight. So this defense has to stay alert and stay alive at all times.
All right, switching now to the other side of the ball and the Bucs defense. What does this Panthers offense need to key in on?
You got to know where Lavonte David is at all times. He's been a mainstay in that defense. He's been a guy, KB, that has been overlooked time and time again. But what has he done? Every single year, it seems like he comes away with 150 tackles, with 4 or 5 interceptions, 4 or 5 sacks, and he gets the job done. And he's done that for Tampa time and time again. Lavonte David is one of my favorite players in the league, and this is why. Because even 10-plus years in the league, and he's still being aggressive, still getting downhill, and still making plays for this defense. Taking on the center, being aggressive, and setting the tone for that defense. So Lavonte David, we got to know where he is at all times, KB, because he can be a game record for that defense.
Yes, he can, but not this week.
Not this week.
Not this week, TD. It is always great to learn something inside TD's film room.
No problem.
All right, coming up, we've been talking about these guys all show long, the DBs. We are going to tell you what exactly they need to do to help the Panthers win this game when we come back.
Closed captioning for the Panthers Television Network is provided by Charlotte Eye, Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates, providing premier eye and ENT care to North and South Carolina.
Welcome back. It is time now for our Coke Spotlight. TD, we have been talking about a lot of different things for this Bucs game. We know just how important it is. We've been getting everybody ready for it. But what is the one thing or person that you want to spotlight for this game?
KB, for me, the spotlight goes to this defense. And the reason why I say this defense is because the last opportunity that we had the chance to be on the field as a defense, we had a chance to control the outcome of the football game, and we didn't get the job done. As a defense, you take pride in being the ones on the field to close out a game, to close out a win, or to force the game to go into overtime. And this team didn't get the job done. We allowed the Saints to get into scoring range, and then we helped them with a untimely penalty. So that's one of the things I want to see this team have the opportunity to get back on the field defensively right here at home, take advantage of some of the opportunities that are going to be there for them, and create your own opportunities. That's one of the things that we have to do a much better job of defensively. We got to communicate better. We got to make sure that we understand what's at stake. Whenever you take the field as a defense, you got to go out and you got to understand and know that if the team that you're playing against, if they don't score any points, they don't win the game. That's one of the things that this team has to really focus in on, because I don't think that too often that we really lock in. We had a shutout in the division earlier in the year, so we've shown that we can get that done. So let's do it again. What time better than the now to get that job done when you know that you have a chance to win the division, you know you have the chance to make the playoffs. Right here, you have a chance to defend your dirt. I need this Panther defense to step up, KB, and step up in a big way.
Well, you just talked about creating your own opportunities, so my Coke Spotlight is going to build off that. Win the turnover battle. I mean, you hear that every week, right? That is how you win the game, is win the turnover battle. As we said, Panthers are really good at turning the ball over. Unfortunately, last week against the Saints, it did not happen. You talk about bouncing back. I know that Panthers secondary is not going to want to, or your DB, whoever it is not going to want to let that stand right here. And as you said, Baker Mayfield can be turned over if you disguise, if you get in his head a little bit. And so that is what I think is going to make the difference in this game. And then we know that the offense has been doing a good job of taking care of the ball recently.
They have. They've done a great job of taking care of the ball. But we got to be intentional defensively, like you just talked about, in making sure that we create turnovers. It's not just about catching interceptions when you turn the ball over. You got to make sure that you're getting shots at the ball. When you get close to the quarterback, you're reaching for the ball. It's not just trying to get him sacked, or literally as a defender, if you allow somebody to catch the ball, we used to watch Peanut do this all the time.
Peanut punch.
Sometimes I'm like, Peanut, did you just allow him to catch the ball so that you could punch it out? But that's one of the things that these guys got to be intentional about, because it's not just going to happen for you. You got to practice it. You got to go into games with the mindset of, I'm going to get it done. And this defense has to understand, the more possessions you get to this offense, the more dangerous they're going to be.
All right, I heard you say something a little bit earlier. You said defend our dirt. We know that is a TD special. Nobody is better than getting everyone hyped up since your playing days than you are. So what do you need to see from this team, from this fan base, from everyone involved in getting the win this week?
A total commitment. I need to see energy. I need to see effort. I need to see everybody all in on winning this game, because that's the magnitude of it. That's how important it is. And you never want to make one game greater than the other. I don't want to hear that this weekend. I want people to understand and know that this is a must-win game for this football team, and we have to come out with that mindset. We have to defend what's ours. You don't let anybody come into your house and take what's yours. So what's ours this week is this dirt on this field, is the jerseys that we're going to wear this weekend on our back, and this stadium is ours, so we have to defend that. And I need the fan base to get locked in on defending that. These players, first and foremost, got to be the ones that defend that, because they're going to be the ones that determine the outcome of this game. So when you come into this stadium this weekend, the goal is the same. The mindset is the same. Bring the energy, bring the juice, and defend our dirt.
All right, well said. I've already got goosebumps. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We hope you have a Merry Christmas. We'll see you next time, but until then,
keep pounding.
You've been watching the Panthers Huddle, a copyrighted presentation of the Carolina Panthers and the NFL.